Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, what's your ex's karma for hurting or betraying you? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is this crystal. Group 2 is this crystal. And group 3 is this crystal. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. It shows this crystal. So let's take a look and see, what is your ex's karma for hurting you or betraying you? Okay, so first up we have is stillness. So there may be some kind of interruption to the flow of abundance, the flow of joy in their life in general. Something that kind of pertains to a very necessary tower moment where they could be facing or being forced to face some of the patterns of wounding that had crept up in the situation between the two of you and motivated them to not take your feelings into consideration, or to, kind of deliberately do things to sort of take advantage of you or use you, that in a way the universe is like, enough is enough. This is kind of the energy of somebody who's being put in timeout. They're sort of being put in the corner to sort of face their own reflection and really take the time, like forced to sort of take the time through stillness to have to kind of go within. So there may be things that they have kind of just carried on, not giving any consideration to kind of the wreckage that they caused for you, maybe playing the victim card to sort of manipulate other people to looking at them from kind of an elevated perspective and painting you out to be some kind of a villain in the situation. This may be a pattern for this person of they kind of come into people's lives and wreak a lot of havoc and damage and then just carry on in a very unbothered, unaffected sort of state. And so it feels like, again, at this particular time in their life, there's almost a sense of they're not able to kind of just carry on as usual. The universe is kind of fed up with this individual, and it feels like you are maybe not the first person who has sort of suffered on, the receiving end of having experienced this individual. And so it's a sense of like everything kind of coming to a halt in this person's reality in order to necessitate that they sort of face themselves, and whether there's a choice made, to course correct or to sort of go in and heal or fess up to some things, maybe some dishonesty with you, with other people, or if they choose to kind of just build in another direction and carry on as usual. It's a sense of they can't just keep going about things, living the life that they were, kind of going about things in the manner of their choosing. That this is definitely the energy of like divine intervention, again, like tower moments that may be kind of bringing everything to a halt in this person's reality, kind of a rude awakening or a wake-up call for this individual, that they may or may not be self-aware enough or willing to kind of trace the steps back or the pattern back to sort of the nature of what happened with you. It feels like it goes far beyond kind of something where, they're getting a taste of their own medicine at this particular point in time. But it's almost the sense of sort of like this energy of you get what you give, and they've been sowing a lot of seeds of destruction. And so it feels like that's kind of coming back around to them, because there's a sense that they can't just keep going through life sort of of ruining other people or creating a lot of damage in other people's lives, emotionally speaking or actually speaking. And so this is the universe kind of stepping in, not just on your behalf, but it feels like other people that you may be aware of or not, are not aware of from your ex's past, that it's kind of like the final straw was maybe the circumstance that happened with you, or even things that have happened since the two of you have parted ways, that at this particular point in time, it's like all catching up with this individual. We also have victory. So this speaks about the energy of loss. So again, that can be like a loss of finances, a loss in respect that other people have for this person. There may be a lot of secrets that they were keeping that are catching up with them. Something that kind of shines in the light of day, who this person truly is, or some of their greater motivations in life. There may even be something where people who had sort of taken this person's side, taken your ex's side, maybe against you, maybe a particular picture had been painted of who you are, your character, that was sort of a ploy or a mechanism on the part of your ex to paint themselves as the hero in the story. There's a sense that there could be people that are like seeing you, or something becomes made known to them that helps to shift the way in which they're viewing you as a person, and therefore completely shifts the energy of the perspective that they had of your ex. Like that person loses credibility because you're being seen as somebody who's not that terrible, who wasn't sort of the baneful element in the equation, but they're starting to kind of maybe even sort of scrutinize your ex from a different sort of perspective. So it's kind of the energy of vindication. It may even coincide with people sort of coming out of the woodwork, or sort of arising from the past with sort of an apology, having misjudged you in some sort of way, or unfairly kind of being an oppositional force, or taking your ex's side against you. But it may also just entail kind of people very privately sort of changing the ways in which they were once sort of loyal to your ex, and now there's kind of the sense of, I see this person's true colors, I see them for who they really are, and so support being withdrawn, where at one point in time it feels like it may have been given very freely to that individual, or very much without question. We also have flying. So there could be rumors that are starting to circulate, or will start to circulate, about your ex, especially if they had created a lot of wreckage in your life, done some emotional damage, and then walked away and almost tried to cover their tracks by painting you out to be the problem, putting themselves on a pedestal, or playing the victim card in some sort of way. There may be kind of a sense of, this is just how they operate through life in a lot of ways. A lot of things that they do, where again, this could be somebody who's kind of just a very destructive force in general in the lives of people, romantically or professionally, or even just platonically, that they encounter, where it may be something that they've kind of said or done sort of catches up with them. Now they are the person that is the subject of gossip. Now they are the ones that maybe even coinciding with sort of other people that sort of learn new information about your ex or about you, start to kind of try to smooth out some of the negative talk that was being done, the rumors that were being spread, something as far as like the truth of the nature of your ex, like who they are as a person at this particular stage of like their evolution of consciousness. All of that's being brought forth. There may even be something where, professionally speaking, there could be sort of, they've earned like a bad reputation as somebody who's not trustworthy, somebody who's deceptive, somebody who, brings kind of a bad element into professional situations. So there may even be kind of word of mouth that is spreading, where people aren't wanting to do business with them, not wanting to align with this person, professionally speaking, because something has been shown or is being revealed about this individual, again, as having a very destructive tendency. Maybe something that they do socially, even, that kind of gets back to people that have professional associations with this individual, and there's like a distance that's being created, people no longer wanting to sort of align with this individual, having their own reputation besmudged by kind of guilt by association of being kind of aligned with your ex, aligned with that individual, something as far as kind of the buzz of conversation behind the scenes that may again sort of cause a lot of people to be very hesitant with the ways in which they support that individual, or even people kind of withdrawing their support from your ex because they're sort of seeing them for who they are, or kind of just the chapter of their life that they are in at this particular point in time as being something that's not very positive, not very good. And we also have Defender. So this is again the energy of there may be somebody or like a group of people that at one point in time had kind of just blindly believed whatever your ex had said about you, about sort of the situation between the two of you, things that may have, kind of involved them just sort of walking away and sort of gaining a lot of support from people, or to try and deprive you of support, deprive you of respect, almost so that your side of the story wouldn't be taken seriously, and something kind of coming to light about that where people are changing their opinion, or they're seeing things, or new facts are kind of coming to the table, or some of these people's experiences with your ex totally contradicts the image of themselves that they had painted. And so even if your ex is not able to kind of trace the steps of some tower moments back to kind of the genesis of sort of what happened with you, it almost feels like other people that are in the peripheral, maybe kind of like third parties, mutual friends, acquaintances, people just kind of within the community even, that had been aware of the circumstance between you and your ex, they are the ones that are kind of shifting the way in which they're looking at things. Energetically speaking, it's almost like they're bringing their energy closer to themselves. They're less kind of willing to go to bat for your ex. They're less kind of willing to align themselves with that individual, and it feels like the ripple effect of that, energetically speaking, sets your ex up to be very vulnerable. So like when tower moments come, they may find that they don't have support from the usual people that they thought they would. People who kind of leave them high and dry, leave them at their hour of need, as they may have done to you as well, created a lot of wreckage and then kind of just walked out of your life. There's a sense that the tables could be turning in that capacity where, the rumors are sort of circulating. Some kind of truth comes out, and when it comes to their hour of need, or, when they try to kind of paint themselves to be sort of a victim again in a situation that they've created for themselves, it's almost like people aren't so likely now to kind of jump to that person's side. They aren't so likely to kind of defend that person or align themselves with that person, because there's some sort of clarity that this is all just an illusion. It's just a mask. It's just kind of the image that your ex is wanting to portray, or that they've kind of habitually been portraying. There may even be kind of like private discussions of, something that kind of comes up that is blatantly sort of untrue, or speaks to kind of low character as far as your ex is concerned, that people are then able to kind of point that back in terms of the situation with you and your ex. And it sounds eerily familiar. That was the same kind of story that they were trying to depict in a situation, involving you and that individual. And in this kind of current time frame, it almost feels like something coming to light where it's quite obvious to other people that there's a lot of lies going on. There's kind of like a bending of the truth. There's only sort of painting a story, or telling a story, painting a picture that puts your ex as kind of the victim, or puts them in a very good light, and that it's like everybody else's fault, or somebody else is sort of to blame. Somebody else has victimized them, and so it feels like, again, it's something to where a lot's being called into question as far as things that your ex has said in the past, things that they're trying to say or will try to say, almost to kind of weasel their way out of the ramifications of some tower moments, or even just in the explanations that they give of kind of the nature of things that sort of fall apart, or disruptions that are kind of created, those seeds of destructions that are having to be kind of sown by them, kind of the chickens coming home to roost for this individual, that other people kind of in the peripheral, either in their kind of inner circle or even sort of the wider rings of individuals that are kind of aware of your ex, or aware of their dealings professionally, personally, romantically speaking. They're seeing them for their true colors. They're seeing this person for who they really are, that they can, kind of talk a good game, but when it comes down to it, that it's kind of all just built on lies and illusions. And we also have the crone of winter. So this speaks to a very lonely energy. Again, it's more of that aspect of people really withdrawing support from your ex for certain things, not being as willing to kind of come to their side, come to their aid in their hour of need. They may find that their, again, kind of their abundance, their joy, the way in which they were kind of just carrying on and not self-reflecting and just sort of perpetuating patterns in their life that were very destructive, that you bore the brunt of. It feels like other people have kind of fallen victim to these things, or sort of been tossed about in the chaos of just being associated with this individual. All of that, it feels like, is being brought to a grinding halt. The universe really is kind of just enough is enough with this individual, to where they're not going to be able to sort of easily continue forth in the same direction in which they were moving, because there's just too much destruction that's been created. There's too many sort of lives that have been torn asunder. There's too much emotional damage that has been done, or actual damage that has been done in people's lives. And so it feels like you kind of the karmic repercussions for your ex, it's not just because of what happened with you. It's like other things that this person has been doing habitually, kind of just their way of moving through life, or their perspective about, people and life in general, that kind of needs to be brought to a grinding halt. They're not going to be just allowed to continue to kind of bulldoze through life, that there's a sense of a very necessary period of self-reflection, of stillness. Whether they choose to grow and evolve, that's kind of up to their free will. But it feels like the universe is sort of again, also kind of an element of not lending support to this person, just sort of carrying on as if everything is fine, or their kind of way of living or way of operating in the world, that it's kind of that they're untouchable or beyond the realm of consequences. We also have the comforts of friendship. Yeah, so there may be friends, even family members. They could lose a romantic partner, like people just kind of wanting to distance themselves from this individual. They could be sort of marked as a pariah now at this particular point in time, because of something that they're involved in, something that they're doing, something that kind of like other people in their lives may be seeing a pattern. It's kind of gotten old. It's the same old story. It might have been very believable when it happened with you, or with other kind of people even previous to you, but it's a sense of people that may have been sort of loyal to them in a long-term sense see this individual for who they are, or something is really being revealed about them that is kind of making people understand, or come to understand that to be associated with this individual, to support this individual, it's not aligning with good energy. It's not aligning with the energy of prosperity and abundance. Your ex may be seen as kind of a malignant person, or just in a very sort of toxic or unhealed energy within themselves or within their life. And so it feels like other people are kind of waking up. They're getting smart about things, and sort of breaking free of the pattern of their own kind of karmic entanglement with your ex, by sort of choosing a different path, not just sort of coming to this person's aid, or being very quick to sort of back them up with whatever it is that they're saying, or whatever it is that they're doing. They may get a lot of pushback. There may be fallouts, arguments and kind of things that can't be taken back, like bridges that are burned between your ex and people that had once really had their back, or were kind of in their corner unquestionably, or were even sort of key players in the life that they had built for themselves prior to sort of the two of you parting ways, or even something that they've kind of grown or developed in the aftermath of your breakup, that it feels like your ex's character is really, it's undeniable at this particular point in time. It's coming to the surface in a very harsh way, and there are people that are key influential individuals in their life who see them for who they are, and the withdrawal of their support it is almost kind of the act which creates that tower. It topples that. So it may be a withdrawal of financial support, or even kind of just, supporting them in terms of like friendship, or a sense of camaraderie, like all of that really being withdrawn, to where your ex may find that they're kind of just wandering at this particular point in time, or will be in sort of this very like friendless zone. Like nobody will take their phone calls, nobody wants to speak to them, almost like no one will give them the time of day, because it's very necessary that they change, or that they evolve, or it's almost like an opportunity, like a crossroads moment that the universe is providing for them about, you need to evolve, or you kind of lock yourself into this very sort of limited timeline. You've sown all these seeds of destruction. And so it's kind of almost repent, or change, or, do something to redeem yourself, or start walking kind of that better path, that more healed path. Or it's the essence of kind of just destruction will continue to sort of follow. It's taken root very deeply within kind of all of their endeavors. Like things they may have touched in the past that turned to gold, it feels that it's kind of it's withering, it's being revealed to be sort of just gold plated, and that shiny veneer is wearing off. That can even relate to kind of the image that your ex has portrayed of themselves to others, romantically, platonically, in a professional sense, that people are seeing their true colors, and kind of smart enough to not align themselves with this individual anymore, or in a long-term sense. So let's get some initials. Can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got F, R, G, A, S, P, Y, Q, D, W, H, I, K, M, A, B, S, X, and M. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose this crystal. So let's see, what is your ex's karma for hurting or betraying you? The first we have is turmoil. So this definitely speaks to the energy of like sleepless nights, something where there's almost a looming sense of them knowing that their actions are going to come back to bite them, knowing that karma is approaching in general, and that it's got a very hungry appetite for what it is that they have done, things that they have said that almost were deliberately kind of words that were used in a wounding way to inflict pain or uncertainty, ways in which they had played mind games with you. It feels like now they're sort of fearing about like, what's going to be the repercussion? What if I shouldn't have said that? What if I shouldn't have done that? What if that comes back to haunt me, or comes back around? They may be very kind of afraid of you speaking your personal truth in some sort of way, things that they have said or done in the course of your relationship with one another, that now there's kind of like, the cost is very heavy, or the potential cost of like, how could this come back to affect me? What if sort of you, the viewer, were to become very open about the things that took place within the relationship, that can relate to some of the more kind of toxic or very damaging experiences, if there was a lot of like fighting, or pettiness that went on, sort of, things that were again kind of said or done in sort of a wounding way. There's a big fear of being kind of full disclosure, being seen for who they truly are, some sort of image that they have painted for the world to sort of see of them, kind of a perfect mask that they sort of generate for others, and keeping very quiet kind of the true nature of who they are, the things that take place behind closed doors. There's a big sort of fear as far as all of that really coming to light and how that could affect their reputation in some sort of way. It may be that they're very concerned about kind of their image, their public image, how other people see them. And it's a sense of almost like, a very different side of them. You have the ability perhaps to ruin their credibility. And so it's almost like a big sort of sense of discomfort, like, is this person going to be the agent of my karma? Or, you, the viewer, going to be the person that kind of hands that karma over? So it may even be where they're kind of becoming very paranoid about things. Again, sort of like a sense of almost sort of looming defeat, or something that's kind of coming back to haunt them, coming back to bite them in some sort of way, that's making it very difficult for them to kind of just move forward very unfazed, very unscathed. If this was a situation where maybe they were entertaining you and a third party, or they had like multiple people on the side, there's also a sense of kind of a fear of like, are you going to be some sort of whistleblower energy? Are you going to go and seek out these other people, and kind of reveal to them sort of who your ex is, what they were doing? Or, you going to be somebody that's going to come and be a fly in the ointment of anything that they have going on in this particular point in time, in terms of somebody new that they're attempting to wine and dine, or multiple people that they're kind of juggling at this particular point that might not know about one another. There's almost a sense of like, are you going to be vengeful? Are you, the viewer, going to be the person that kind of brings their house of cards down on top of them by sort of letting other people know, seeking other people out that they are having dealings with, and kind of letting them know the nature of your ex's character, or perhaps their proclivity to not be able to be loyal, or profess loyalty to one person but then be in like a talking stage with multiple other people. We also have saboteur. So again, it's almost the sense of like somebody who could be very paranoid at this particular point in time, a feeling of almost like someone's out to get me, things are kind of like not going well, or there might be sort of a series of things that have happened that are kind of like making your ex very nervous at this particular point in time. You may have information about your ex, things that they were involved in, things that they have said, things that they've done, that there's almost the sense of like, is this going to be brought to light in the here and now and kind of ruin everything that I built? Is this going to be something which is brought to the surface and there's some kind of consequences for me? Either people see me for who I really am, and I lose credibility with others, or even kind of more extreme than that, things that might really sort of damage this person's reputation or be of great cost to them in a variety of ways, in terms of if you were to speak your truth, not just in terms of like how they treated you or what they did in terms of romance, but it almost feels like things you might have been aware of about this individual that could really sort of call into question a high and mighty, or a very virtuous sort of image that they have tried to present to other people. So it definitely feels like, if you're resonating with these energies so far, they're thinking of you almost as like you would likely be the person to be the agent of delivering that karma. You would be the most kind of likely suspect to kind of bring something forth that would bring their whole world crashing down upon them. So this could be a lot of lies, a lot of deceptions, a lot of things where you might have also kind of gotten swept up in the ramifications of things that your ex did, things where you put yourself out on the line for them. Maybe you co-signed for things, you vouched for them, and they could have betrayed you. They could have, left you kind of having to clean up the damage, or dealing with kind of the weight of repercussions of them not holding their end of the bargain on certain things. And so there may even be kind of like a fear: is there going to be some sort of legal ramification? Is there going to be something where they're going to really be brought to task for sort of the promises that they made that were not kept? Maybe in addition to or above and beyond anything as far as like, breaking your heart, dealing with multiple people, that there's almost a sense of seeing that you are not someone who looks at them very generously. You don't hold a soft spot for them, not just because of maybe what they've done emotionally, but what they've done actually, or what they've done financially. Kind of the way in which, the state of wreckage that your life was left in when the two of you parted ways. There's almost a sense of the fear of that creating a lot of tension, making it very hard for them to be present in the moment. This is almost the energy of somebody who's living in a constant like tension space. When's the other shoe gonna drop? When's the rug gonna be pulled out from under me? When's the sky gonna fall down on top of everything that I have built? So that karma is, they're not just kind of free and easy away from you. There's a sense of somebody who's always kind of sleeping with one eye open, or sort of looking over their shoulder at all times. It may even be sort of the guilt of other things that they have been involved in, or that they've done, or even just kind of, the nature of their true character kind of coming to light, and sort of, what if something is revealed that makes other people in my world, other people in my reality that only are aware of kind of the mask that I've presented, what if they come to know a different face of me? What if they come upon information that causes them to see me in a different sort of way? And then there's a ripple effect of, I'm not as well liked, I'm not as supported as I was, or people who kind of just took me at face value, they see behind that mask. And what if they don't really like the person that I am inside, or who I was in the past? It almost feels like kind of the energy of somebody who maybe hasn't done a lot of work in themselves, maybe just sort of moved on beyond your situation, and just kind of created a new image for themselves, but never sort of went within to do any kind of healing. So there's a deep-seated fear of like the past catching up with them in some sort of way, and personal truth that you may speak, or information that you have, kind of bringing some sort of image that they've cultivated, cracking that all apart. And so it's adding a lot of stress and tension to them at this point. We also have the illusionist. Yeah, so this is the energy of like somebody who is living behind a mask. The nature of who they are as a person is very different from kind of how they want the world to see them, or what they've portrayed to other people. And so it's a sense of almost like trying to really cling to that mask, but almost feeling that it's being sort of ripped away from them. It may even be where they're kind of looking in your direction as kind of like, okay, maybe you're the ex, or this person from my past who's gonna come and shine the light on sort of the truth of who I am. But it almost feels that part of that karma might be somebody else sort of sneaking around to take them by surprise. Somebody else that has kind of borne the brunt of sort of your ex, who they are truly as a person, beyond sort of the pleasantries, beyond the surface level illusion. Somebody else who has some kind of a grudge against them, somebody else who has been wronged or harmed or hurt in some sort of way, that might be the one who's getting ready to come forth as that whistleblower energy in some capacity. So it's almost like your ex may at this point in time be able to sort of sense, my actions are catching up with me. Things that I have done in the past of a nefarious nature, of a shady nature, of a dishonest nature, all of that's getting ready to come to the surface and kind of be used against me in some sort of way. So it feels like you're the most kind of likely person that they're looking towards, and maybe it is you who will be that sort of agent of delivering karma. But it also feels like there may be other people that they don't anticipate, or someone else that they don't anticipate, or it could even be that there are like multiple people from the past that they're sort of fearful of, like, who's it going to be who, you know, has this information, or knows a certain side of me, or was directly sort of hurt or betrayed, that could have some kind of vindictiveness, some sort of grudge, or is feeling so kind of compelled to do the right thing, or you know, be righteous in some sort of way, that they bring forth a truth about the character of who I am, or what I'm involved in, or things that have occurred in the past that kind of, they moved through them consequence free, but it feels like a lot of those consequences are getting ready to catch up with them. We also have the doe. So this can, again, be sort of the idea of like, you know, some sort of an innocence that they try and portray to others, that they're a good person, that they're a nice person, that, you know, they wouldn't harm a fly, they wouldn't do anything, you know, kind of shady, that everything that they are involved in is very above board. So there may be some kind of scrutiny that comes forth, something that they don't really expect from another person, somebody who's kind of been watching from the shadows, or something where it's almost like their number's up, or they've been noted, they've kind of been singled out in some sort of way as some actions that they have going on, or something within kind of their character, or like a skewed moral compass, that it's coming back to bite them at this particular point in time, and they feel very much like aware of that in some sort of way, that something's happening, like they're in a very uncomfortable place at this point, very paranoid, maybe not like talking to a lot of people, they could be sort of withdrawn in and of themselves, and kind of just not sure sort of what's going to happen, where something's going to come from. You know, they may be involved in something else at this particular point in time that's kind of causing them to need to be sort of quiet, or they've been advised to be very quiet about things. But there's a sense of like, you know, what else have I done in the past that is going to sort of come forth and work against me at this particular point in time? What other sort of innocent people, or, you know, innocent lives, relatively speaking, like people that I've wronged, that in some sort of way wouldn't be there to kind of cheerlead, wouldn't be there to speak well about my character, put in a good word, but could almost be sort of solicited for evidence that could be very incriminating, or, you know, things that could kind of ruin their reputation in some sort of way, the mask that they have tried to present to others. So it feels like kind of their shady dealings in a variety of ways kind of catching up with them, or sort of, this can almost be somebody that's kind of you know, habitually just sort of playing with people's emotions, a very manipulative sort of individual, that there's almost like a lot of loose ends that this person has in their past, that it's kind of like, who's going to be that person from the past that kind of sinks my battleship, kind of comes forth and brings it all sort of crashing down? How many of the people that I've hurt in the past know about one another, are talking with one another? They may feel like people are kind of in collusion against them, sort of ganging up against them, or getting ready to do that at this particular point in time. You may feel that that includes you, or that could involve you at some particular point. But it feels like it's not just sort of any kind of interest or efforts on your part to sort of set the record straight about things. It feels like there are also sort of many people that are kind of looking to your ex at this particular point in time, in terms of like, you're not just going to get away with what you did. You're not just going to kind of move forward and continue to paint that very innocent picture to others. Like, it will be known, it will be professed, it will be announced, kind of like who you are, sort of behind that mask, behind that very pretty picture that is painted for the world to see. We also have, was she once a selkie? So this is again the energy of kind of an image that they want to portray, or that they've really tried to kind of convey to others, that may involve sort of fraudulently kind of taking on characteristics that are just for show. It's just for pageantry. It's somebody who definitely could be a narcissist. They definitely could have like a public face and then who they are behind closed doors, that there's a sense of you've seen a side of this person or you've experienced a side of this person that few experience and kind of remain within their social circle, or remain kind of aligned with them. You've seen the worst of the worst of as far as like who they are as an individual, and that's very different from sort of what they present in the light of day. So there's a sense of something that they've shed, something that they've released, something from their past kind of being dug up or resurfacing in some sort of way, and that being brought forth in a very incriminating fashion, a very kind of damning fashion, something that really kind of calls into question sort of everything that they've tried to sort of build or grow or to become or to convince others that they are as an individual. All of that, the mask itself being kind of ripped away, the illusion being sort of ripped away, and the truth of this individual shining forth. That it feels like, again, could have something that really kind of halts their progress, maybe forward. It causes them to need to kind of go in and heal finally, or it may be something where, it's almost kind of the energy of a lot of damage, a lot of wreckage that was caused in your life, maybe actually or emotionally. It's almost like they're going through kind of that energy of sort of like, it's all going to come crashing down. What's this going to do? They may be in that energy of turmoil at this particular point in time, because there's a sense of there's nowhere left to hide. There's kind of like they back themselves into a corner, or the little hidey hole that they're in at this point. It's almost like they can't remain there forever. Something's really being brought to the surface. Something's kind of being brought out into the light of day, and it's a matter of they can feel it looming, they can feel it coming in, and it's sort of a matter of like who. So they may be pushing a lot of people away, not really sure who to trust at this particular point in their life or in their journey, because there's a sense of it's time to pay the piper in some sort of way for the things that they have done. And we also have a gentle path of inspiration. So people may be very cruel, very harsh in their judgments of your ex, in the way in which the true nature of this individual is so different than the mask that has been presented, that it's almost impossible for them to be kind of viewed compassionately almost. They may be sort of, in extreme cases, seen to be a very monstrous individual, somebody who shouldn't elicit a lot of sympathy. That could be very contrary to kind of the public persona, or the way that they have kind of manipulated others into seeing them at this particular point in time. It's almost like the truth of this individual comes forth. It may even be that sort of the pressure that they are under right now sort of causes them to snap in some sort of way, and they themselves kind of rip that mask off. They take off the illusion. They present themselves in the light of day, and there's no kind of putting that back. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. So they may be sort of the cause of their own undoing. They're looking outward as like who's the saboteur, and it's the energy of self-sabotage instead, to where there's almost like no ability to sort of go back in the spaces that they had made themselves very comfortable within. But there's a sense of that they're forced to heal, they're forced to kind of reconcile some things, make recompense for certain things, or change course and path in kind of their life in general. They can no longer go through the motions of sort of how they'd been living, because sort of the sanctuary of that illusion or that public image, it feels like cracks apart, it falls to the ground, and what is revealed is not the kind of thing that others really sympathize with. There's not a lot of forgiveness or generosity kind of given towards your ex, and in a way it's kind of the ripple effect, or maybe directly affected to sort of what they did to you, what happened to you. But it feels like also kind of maybe somebody who systematically sort of uses people for their own benefit and then discards them when they cease to be of kind of value or use anymore, and kind of all of that sort of coming back around. The mask and the illusion, it cannot be used anymore. It will not be effective for them. which forces them to get into that place of kind of, paying the consequences, whatever it is that they've kind of put out, sort of coming back around to them, or forcing them at least to be at that opportunity of like, something's got to give, something's got to change, there's got to be some healing, there's got to be some kind of awakening and sort of ascending beyond kind of the way they were inside, because it no longer suffices to sort of have that hidden self and present like a very sort of artificial version of them out into the world. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got C, I, H, J, Z, T, F, R, P, R, K, V, E, O, M, D, U, S, and N. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. We chose this crystal. So let's see, what is your ex's karma for hurting you or betraying you? So the first one we have is balance. So this almost feels to be the energy of the tables turning on this individual, them meeting the kind of equivalent of themselves in another person. So all of that sort of betrayal, all of that hurt, all of that deception that took place in your relationship with one another, someone's getting ready to do that to them, or they could already be involved in a circumstance. Maybe a third party was involved in the past. They left you for someone. They went back to somebody else. They made you an option, or they've moved on into a new connection. And it feels like that individual is getting ready to betray your ex in a very major way. They're getting ready to save themselves and kind of throw your ex under the bus. They may be somebody who is kind of not such a nice person, not such a decent person, a very self-serving individual that they could just be using your ex. If you had felt very used, very taken for granted in the past, that could be happening right now for your ex and with another individual. And so it feels like this is something where they are walking in your shoes, like they're walking a mile in your shoes at this particular point, and they don't even realize it. It feels like they're getting ready to have like the rug pulled out from under them in this capacity. They may really trust this other individual that they're with. They may be convinced this is like the one, this is the love of their life. This is sort of what all the mistakes in the past were sort of leading to them finding this individual. They may have painted you out to be the villain in the story and have sort of fallen into the arms of this other person who could have just been sort of stroking their ego or feeding those very egoic needs, but in a very self-serving way, to where there's almost the sense of your ex getting ready to be left high and dry, or have their heart broken, or a major betrayal take place that will give them no choice but to feel what it is that you felt, to experience what it is that you felt, and maybe even kind of magnified from that. The sense of the blowback from what they put you through being almost 10 times more in the situation that they're currently involved in, or that they're getting ready to kind of be involved in, because the universe really wanting to kind of instill a very harsh lesson. It feels like they treated you in a very cruel and unkind sort of way. They may have really manipulated you, or the manner in which kind of that betrayal or that hurt took place. It's almost like it's not something that it's going to go unanswered for. They're not just going to move through life in a very consequence-free way. And it may be that there was an opportunity for them to kind of mend their ways, or create some sort of an apology, or even provide you with vindication that they've not done. And so it's almost like a very harsh lesson at this particular point. They're not going to know precisely the way that felt, or the damage that was done, until it's actually done to them. And so it feels like they're either in a connection with somebody who does that, who kind of puts them maybe into a very low place, creates a rock bottom for your ex as kind of the karmic repercussion for whatever happened with you, or they're getting ready to meet that person who is really going to cause their world to come crashing down all around them in a very unpleasant way, and very specifically as the result of things that were done to you emotionally, or actually to create imbalance and upset in your life. All of this is coming around full circle to them. We also have adventure. So this is almost the energy of like being sent on a wild goose chase. They might be really kind of affected on an emotional level, by somebody that they're dealing with, kind of a partner that they're with, or somebody that they're getting ready to be involved with romantically, that may really kind of play a lot of mind games with them, use a lot of kind of dark psychology against your ex, something where it's almost like their world is getting ready to be tossed upside down. The damage that will be inflicted from this experience, it feels like, will have kind of a ripple effect upon multiple areas of their life. They may really struggle to see, like, how didn't I see this coming? Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Kind of put in this energy of like a pity party from not just sort of, it feels like the loss, the inevitable loss of whatever the connection is that they are in, or something that they're getting ready to come into, but a way in which this person may really shatter your ex, may really break their heart, or break a lot of things that they had going on in their life completely apart. This could involve kind of like messy, costly divorces, something where there could be like financial fallout from that, deep kind of emotional wounds that will take a long time to heal, may not ever heal completely, something that could be very kind of damaging or detrimental to their health and well-being, mentally or physically, something where, they may themselves now have fallen in the clutches of, like, if your ex is a narcissist, this could be a malignant narcissist, kind of like the next level up, somebody who is psychologically, intellectually superior to your ex, somebody who is very sort of adept at playing games, or kind of pulling other people's strings, and it feels like it's the universe's sort of way of humbling your ex, really bringing them to their knees, and causing them to sort of look at the nature of something that was done to you in your romantic relationship that was very unfair. You could have put a lot of trust in your ex, and the nature of that betrayal could have been very brutal, very unkind, something that was very publicized even. If so, it feels like a lot of humiliation is getting ready to happen to your ex in a very public fashion. Something where this isn't just they're going to be able to kind of go and cry and tuck themselves away, but it's almost the sense of a lot of people are going to kind of know about this, how they were bamboozled in some sort of way, or how they were manipulated, and it feels like it's almost the sense that there may be a lot of people that kind of will feel like your ex had it coming, people who may have been sort of silently supporting you, and in the aftermath of kind of your breakup with this individual, may have known things, or things came to light as far as how you were treated, or the things that occurred that for whatever reason, nobody kind of advocated for you, nobody sort of stood up for you. And so there's a sense of people even sort of silently applauding when this sort of house of cards falls down upon your ex, through somebody else that is kind of that that agent of the karma being delivered on to them. People that might sort of kind of feel like finally your ex got what was coming to them. Finally, there's been some sort of like justice or karmic justice for how, you know, they treated you, or maybe how they treat people in general. Your ex could be somebody that just like sort of uses people and discards them, leaves people worse for wear after they come into individuals' lives. This may be something where even other people, like other exes of your ex, may sort of be sort of silently applauding. Kind of this is sort of the scales being balanced in a major sort of way, a big kind of pattern revealed here, a major kind of shakeup for your ex on a deep and profound level as a result of what they put you through. And it feels like they're being put through the ringer at this point, or are sort of in proximity, or are currently in a relationship, are aligned with an individual who is going to be that person that is just going to turn their world upside down in the worst possible way. Yeah, we also have storms, so kind of a brewing storm, an impending storm, a lot of things getting ready to be sort of tossed about. It feels like your ex is going to feel very caught off guard, very like, how did this happen? How did I not see this coming? How did I not see this person's true character and nature? How was I so deceived by this individual? Because it feels like this is somebody that they're really like falling in love with. They've really caught feelings for. They feel very safe. They put a lot of trust in this individual. And it feels like the other person, kind of their loyalty is to themselves. It's not to your ex in the way that they may feel that they are aligned with somebody, or are coming into alignment with someone that has your ex's best interests in mind. So this may be kind of a reality check for your ex's ego. You know, things that have kind of like, maybe that they've confessed, or that are taking place. Things that this other kind of third party, this other romantic sort of interest knows about, that they're going to be using against your ex. It'll kind of be used to their disadvantage, or something that will kind of operate in a capacity of, it'll have like lasting or long-term repercussions in the life of your ex, that will not just create sort of like physical disruption, but it's a lot emotionally. It's like having their heart sort of deeply broken, and also being deeply betrayed, and kind of their world being tossed about, torn asunder, you know, within this kind of storm, or within this sort of tornado kind of energy, that it feels like will not, it almost feels like it's something that it'll be so catastrophic that it will not just embitter your ex, it's going to quiet them. It's going to shut them down for a very long time. It's going to be something where it could be a very life-changing event. This may be sort of the experience that's necessary to kind of cause them to wake up and go within and do that healing, or to be able to self-reflect at kind of why they've called this experience into their life as a result of kind of the energies that they put out sort of coming full circle. But it may even be something that, you know, it creates so much damage that they kind of just shut themselves off from romantic relationships ever again. And so at least they're not creating that same level of chaos and destruction in the lives of other people. At least there's nobody else that's kind of hurt in the same way that like you were hurt, you were damaged. It could have taken a very long time to kind of recover emotionally. You may not be recovered emotionally even from the experience with your ex. And so it feels like there's somebody out there that's getting ready to kind of bring the hammer down upon them in a very kind of a very profound way that will definitely humble them, definitely be something that like crushes them emotionally, maybe even would be sort of the deepest betrayal they've ever experienced. If your ex is somebody who just sort of habitually betrays other people, has been very sort of self-serving, it's almost like they're going to meet someone even more self-serving, even more conniving, even more sort of ingenious as far as the ways in which to kind of use and manipulate other people. And so it feels like all of that is kind of this is the karma coming back around. This is kind of the wave that sort of reshapes kind of the shoreline in general, you know, for your ex, and kind of the way in which they approach interpersonal relationships. They may not be able to trust again. They may be very hesitant to kind of get into other sort of romantic connections. It feels this goes above and beyond generating a version of somebody that's like hurt people, because it feels like maybe they were already operating in that energy before. This is something that almost just shuts them down completely, to where they may not ever sort of look towards romance again. It may be something where they find it hard to kind of walk with their head held high after this experience. We also have the Child. So this can definitely be something where this is almost like they feel outmatched. They feel out kind of numbered in a way. They're made to feel like a very small child. It brings up like the worst case scenario, the worst fears, something that kind of is very much brought to the surface. Somebody that they may be dealing with that kind of presents as a very demure, a very cooperative kind of an energy, and it's almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing, like sort of the enemy is very close to home with your ex currently, or soon to kind of come into their life. This may even be something where, they could get kind of trapped within a very toxic relationship with someone. Maybe they end up having a child with someone, and are kind of stuck within that situation. So it's like that living misery. They're not out breaking other people's hearts and creating a bunch of damage because they're kind of trapped almost in their own sort of living hell, or an energy of kind of a very negative sort of situation that is all of their making. It's all the product of kind of thinking with the ego, and again, kind of like not like a happy home they may find themselves in, but something where, they are kind of manipulated. They are victimized. They are not sort of the powerful one within the connection, but they're forced to be almost very subservient to another person who sort of outmatches them, outmaneuvers them intellectually, emotionally. Actually, there may be a lot of kind of financial manipulation that takes place, not even in a way that would almost like make people feel sorry for this individual, but something that it's almost kind of like they had this coming. They had something like this that kind of needed to happen to at least get them out of circulation, romantically speaking, because this could be something where they were breaking a lot of hearts or creating a lot of chaos and upset and kind of turmoil in the lives of other people. And so it's the sense of like somebody who finally just kind of lassos this person and sort of puts them in their place in a way, or humbles them, makes them almost feel very vulnerable, very, very weak, very kind of defenseless, like a child would feel. So it may even be the nature of kind of a betrayal that happens, or a circumstance that they sort of find themselves in, that they're powerless to defend themselves. There's kind of like no good solution. There's no way out. There's no way forward. It's kind of just reduces them to like a shadow of who they were in their most sort of puffed up version, like when they were dealing with you, or the ways in which they may have been very kind of inflated, felt very, very big, very, very powerful, kind of, sort of doing whatever they did to you, or moving through life in the way that they had been. It's almost a sense of somebody really reduces them. They're no longer to kind of able to sort of move through their life and feel that there are no consequences, or that they're untouchable. It's like something reaches out and touches them on a deep emotional level, brings a lot of things crashing down. We also have the Gathering. So there may be a lot of people that kind of join forces to work against your ex. So this could be something where if your ex had kind of gathered up a lot of flying monkeys and, had kind of created a very uncomfortable or very treacherous situation for you in the aftermath of your breakup. Again, this is almost something where there's a lot of kind of witnesses that operate against your ex. There's a lot of kind of people that are not in support of them. They may feel very much like an outcast, very much like the world is turned against them. People that they thought, had their back, were their friend, were in their corner, maybe sort of turned or swayed against them in some sort of way. Something about the nature of whoever it is that they're dealing with, romantically speaking, whoever that like closest person is to them, that person that they thought they could confide everything in, or, was kind of like would have their back no matter what. It's almost like that's the person that betrays them. That's the person that sort of rallies up the troops and kind of brings some sort of chaos onto your ex. It may be the product and the result of your ex just being themselves and the nature of who they could be dealing with. They could be a very manipulative person, but this could also be somebody who is very vengeful, very vindictive. And so, they may be somebody who's not just kind of going to go quietly to the sidelines or sort of, tolerate a lot of nonsense. It may be something where they deliberately kind of put your ex in their place. There could be almost like funny business going on, or circumstances that like happen within the connection that like this other person sort of collects evidence about or does something about, something that kind of just brings everything to a screeching halt within the life of your ex, that it feels like they never saw coming, they didn't anticipate it because no one ever stood up to them, no one ever did anything before. They've not only kind of met their match, they're outmatched in terms of just like a very self-serving kind of energy. And we also have the crone of winter. So again, this is like loneliness, isolation, feeling like they don't have a friend in the world. There's nobody that's going to support them. There may be a loss of kind of a lot of the creature comforts that they had enjoyed, some kind of position, some kind of status. Definitely the sense of almost feeling that the world is their oyster, or they have everything that they want. Their life is really great. Since the two of you have parted ways and kind of cozying up with a new person, it's almost like this person leaves them out in the cold, betrays them in such a way that it may be very difficult to recover emotionally, financially, psychologically. Maybe something where there's kind of no coming back from that, where they're forced, your ex is almost like forced to kind of move in a different direction. Maybe that's in the direction of healing, finally kind of dealing with that woundedness within that had caused them to hurt and betray you. Or it's something where, if they choose not to change, then they kind of just live the rest of their life in this very sort of small energy, in this very sort of isolated energy, in this very sort of diminished and kind of darkened energy. But it feels like either way, this is almost like something being brought to its conclusion, something really being brought to a head, that is kind of the mounting of sort of this retribution or this repercussion in some way, almost like your ex is being paid back in interest for what it is that they've done to you. And it feels like other people in their life, maybe other people that they've betrayed, that don't even have to be romantic connections, or even just other people that emotionally they've kind of devastated. They left them very much worse for wear, that they have encountered finally, or are getting ready to encounter that person who is going to deliver that karma to them in a very like a lesson they won't forget almost. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got C, K, P, M, M, G, W, F, A, V, W, S, D, Z, O, F, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.